I'm Andrew. This is catskullGameing. We are a zero-budget game development team of 3 people working on our first game, and we are working on a narrative roguelike dice rolling game. Still working on that elevator pitch. Much like everything in it, we are still working on it. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we've been doing. So, I guess first thing to do is just kind of play it and see what pops up, see how it looks. Changed out the splash screen for a new picture. One of our antagonists, Doom. Still opening screen, sticking with Fate's Dice for now as a title, working title. Probably going to change, but naming things is hard, and that's not bad, so it might not. We envision that there's going to be some tutorialization and some introduction, some animations that would play there, and then you'd be dropped into this to be tutorialized on how to play the game on the first time. And this is what I've been working on, is trying to figure out what the UI is going to look like. And so this is my current rendition. This is an old rendition. This is even an older rendition. Kind of see the iterations as it goes back and forth as I try to figure out what should that look like, how should it feel, what is the vibe we're going for and the tone that we're trying to set. You know, is this darker or grittier? Is it lighter or funner? Is this Star Wars or Star Trek? What is the thing that we're trying to say with our visual style? And we're trying to go with something a little bit lighthearted, more sitcom-y, kind of a little Firefly-esque in tone, that kind of like fun jocularity, but with some campiness and a little bit of seriousness as well. A little bit of that cute grossness kind of thrown in there to kind of give it a little bit of ick. But we're still trying to nail that down. To balance out this like lighter little bit of red and add some little glow and some animations to really give some movement, some action. And see some of the things that the team's been working on. Dayton has been, besides trying to code everything up, he's also been working on getting the basic things that we need. The math, the scoring, the different rolling scenes, and all the different like Yahtzee combinations, adding those things up and the dice up so that you get a score. We've been working on that. He also added this awesome multi-dice picker and ability to select those dice in here. And then Jim's been working on music and a music handler and learning how to work inside a Godot to get that music to fit to the right scene, to be attached to the right thing. He's been doing a little bit of coding to figure out how does he, write a audio bus handler. How does he write that stuff so he can implement it, which is really awesome that he's been taking the time to figure that out. So Dayton's been working on a lot of this stuff thing here where it just temporary rolls what would happen, and then it shows up down here as he's slowly getting it more hooked up. This is not up to date with him, so I know he's got more done now. I'm really excited to see what it is. We're going to be meeting up Sunday, so that's going to be cool. So some of the problems I have with the UI right now that I'm still struggling with is really, like I said, getting and nailing that tone. I think having like that little light up at the end, but then getting some flickers in the game itself to kind of really show that these things are lit, and so you get a little like zzz kind of thing happening, a little bug strobe. So we do want it to have almost like an analog feel to it. It's kind of like Star Wars-esque spaceship panel that you would fly. Though narratively, that's not really what's happening here, so there is leeway in that direction. And then sticking with this very low poly, kind of flat style as well. The style limited, and I'm trying to figure out how do I push it so that it works better and so that I can build more depth into it, because it is very flat. And that's also been a struggle. The animation is one of the ways that I was hoping to help kind of counteract some of the low poly nature of it, by having things like dynamic lettering, and I think also getting it so that when you highlight things, they glow and you get more interaction with the scene in the world itself will make these things feel better or work a little bit better or fit within the tone. Coloring is also something I need to work on because this color is not, it's just not working, right? Like that black with this like Futurama spaceship green for the screens, it's not quite like, it's not the right vibe. Same with this isn't quite it. With the red, it needs like a plastic or a metal quality to it, or something to establish the materiality of what it is, give it a physicality. It's really kind of missing that. And I kind of need to figure out in the style, how do I do that? Because for the characters, I like the way the style works, and it's something that I can really use as someone who is figuring out how to do all this, you know, make these animations and develop them for the game, make them dynamic, make them so that they can be manipulated and controlled by the player, or they change based on what the player does. And so that's why the style was, I chose to work in this style and really try to figure out how to use this style. But the UI needs work. Same thing with like the lettering. This is hard to read. This is hard to read. This is, when it's lit up, not too bad. When it's black, not too bad. But some of these smaller things, they start to get lost. They get a little fuzzy on my screen. And if you were to shrink them down even smaller, like, it's important to be able to read this stuff and not have that impede the play. But I also just don't want to use New Times Roman. You know, like I want it to have character to fit within the world itself. I'm just still trying to figure out, what does that look like? What font is that? And can I get it for free? Which is, you know, zero budget means I can't pay someone to make a font for me. And I really don't want to take the time to try to figure it out because I'm not going to be good at it. And it's going to be a lot of work or, you know, really no payoff. We'll see. Some of the other things I've been working on along with that, trying to figure out the style and that animation, has been working on actual animations. Jim has been doing a lot of really good work with the narrative. We've been kind of tag teaming that a little bit with him taking lead, and we worked on some introductory stuff, and he did some voiceover for the stuff he wrote, because it's way better to hear someone speak the words they wrote to understand the tone, because as not professional writers don't know how to do that. To write the tone and accent of someone speaking into the words, that when it's read and spoken back, that is portrayed. So we just read it, and he gave a wonderful performance with his voiceover. And then I animated it to try to figure out how to do lip syncing with this animation, with this style, so I could animate as a kind of a proof of concept. And that turned out pretty good, actually.
The screen fades in, and the player is met with their first image of fate. Ah, you're awake. Listen, you're gonna be a little confused for a while, and it may feel like you've forgotten something. Well, that's because you have. It's complicated, but you're here now, and that's what counts. I am fate. I'm sure you'll have lots of questions, and answers will come with time, but for now, the screen fades in, and the player...
So that was really good and really educational. Just doing this, once proof of concept, we can do this kind of lip sync animation. We can do voiceover work. We can do this on our own. I mean, is it the best? No. Would it be better if we could pay professionals to do it? Hell yeah. Would I love to do that? Yes. Can I afford to? No. So we do it ourselves. And who knows, maybe someday when we do have the funding and we do have money, we can afford to pay those professionals what they're worth. But until then, you know, we'll bootstrap it. We'll pick ourselves up and we'll make it work. And we can. And we've proven that with this. The sad thing is, the day after this was recorded and shared with the team, I had some corruption issues on my drive that I'm storing all this stuff on, and this wasn't yet backed up, and I lost it. I have 3 frames of this whole animation. The rest of it is just adios. So, lesson learned, you know, your stuff that's not being backed up onto GitHub or the cloud, make sure you're backing up somewhere else. Luckily, I did have backups of everything else. I didn't lose anything else, but still, this is the only thing we have of this character model. I lost the blend file. Blend file just disappeared. But as a proof of concept, super happy with it. So now we're trying to work on more of that. Like, how do we come up with a good opening dialogue, come up with a good animated sequence, so that we can add those things into our little short loop, so that when we play it, we go from, hey, here's the narrative, here's this tutorialization, but it's not just text on a screen, it's also a voice. It's somebody talking to you and telling you things. You know, that level of verisimilitude and that level of engagement really does elevate what we're doing from just something that you're reading to something that is now that little bit more. And for us, our first time putting something out is so important that we do it good enough so that it's not an impedance to the overall enjoyment of what we're making. That means working at it and practicing at it, and I think this is a good start. So that's about what we've been doing, where we're at. It's been a good couple of weeks. We also played some Lasers and Feelings with my buddy Luis, waiting to finish up that. I DM'd that game. It was really fun. These guys are, when it comes to that kind of characterization, great group of guys to play at a table. So we've been doing that kind of stuff too. And then just, it's cold. We're staying nice and warm and defrosted. So that's us. Hey, if you've been here, thank you so much for sitting through this little dev diary. I really appreciate it. Have a good one. I'm Andrew. This is catskullGameing, and hopefully we see you around. Bye.